Hey there YouTube, it's Rich from Dodger Bushcraft. Well, this weekend I'm out in my local woodland again and I'm wild camping. But this isn't just a normal wild camp, this is scout camp in case you haven't noticed. What's different again? Oh, pheasant. What's different again is there is no actual kids this time, there's no scouts, it's just leaders only and adults, which is going to be great, believe me. So this weekend is like a skills weekend, and the basic idea of it is to introduce leaders to new skills and brush up on old skills as well and get practicing, and in case things get a bit rusty. And it's just about fun and socialising and learning new things, and yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. Now, unfortunately, there's loads of bases going on, but we can't do everything. There's just not enough time in the weekend to do everything. So they've left us to choose what we want to do. And there's all sorts going on. There's fire lighting, there's axe and knife work, there's a pole lathe and there's spoon carving going on. There's a shelter building. There's looking around the local woodland doing a walk. So there's loads going on, and I decided that I really need to get in touch with nature again and learn about plants and trees and wild edibles. So I decided to go on the walk, and I didn't actually realise this until I got here, but it's Mike from Tamarak Outdoors. Hi Mike. He's doing the walk and it's going to be really good, hopefully. It sounds really interesting, and it's just going to be a bit of an eye-opener, I think, for me, because there's so much things that you miss when you go out walking and you don't actually pay attention to. So hopefully I'll learn an awful lot, and I decided to take you with me, and I'm going to document the journey. Unfortunately, my camera and my battery isn't amazing, so I won't be able to film the whole weekend, so I've decided to film the walk. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn something new. I know I certainly will. So anyway, I'll catch you guys soon, and I'll leave it with you there. See you guys.
I'm not told this. That way. Right. That way and that way. Yeah, so far. Okay. That way. That way. Alright. Right. North is approximately that way. Okay? Yeah. And how do I know that?
Sun.
Yeah, that's another indicator.
Moss and trees.
Yeah. Tree related. Okay. This thing here, what's this tree was stood under? Again. Oak. Okay, yeah, it's an oak tree. Okay. And if you look at it, right, these big limbs on the back, they're called scaffold limbs. Okay. A lot more going to where the sun is at the minute. Yeah. And not so much going on the right hand side. Okay. So south, north. Okay. There's a few examples further on down, yeah, that reverses that. It puts you actually south and north, yeah, which is a bit disconcerting, but there's a reason for it. Okay. So oak, what can we use oak for?
Very nice church doors.
Yeah, so furniture, okay, tables, chairs, doors, yeah, buildings. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, burning. Okay. How long, if I cut that now, yeah, cut it, stacked it, okay, how long would I have to wait before it's burnable? 12 months? 12?
I'd say more.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
2? Yeah. Okay.
Depending on the diameter, is it? Or?
Yeah, so you're cutting up to sort of like your firewood bits, sort of like that. Well, you have a stab at the identifying this.
Is that the chestnut?
This is an indicator. Yeah, what you need to do when you come up to this, yeah, or plant or a tree or anything really, is have your own approach on how to identify it, so you're actually cancelling out those things that you might think it is. Okay, then I'll start at the bottom. Right, one, where's it growing? Yeah, if it's really wet, boggy ground, yeah, you're probably looking at things like willows and alders. Yeah, things that like the feet in the water. Okay, and then work your way up. What's the bark like? Yeah, is it deep fissures? Is it smooth? Yeah, how old is a tree, for example? Is a tree in good health? Yeah, is the bark shedding? Right. And then work your way up. What's the branch form like? Yeah, is that any different? Okay, and then right up, and then look at the tips. Okay, and what that does, that gives you a systematic approach to sort of identification. If you do that, so if you, the biggest identifier of this at the minute is up there. Okay, so I'll give it a shake. Alright, look at the bud. What do you think? No? This is an older oak. Okay, so cast your mind back to the old girl in the field there. Right, to this. Right. A lot smoother bark. When they're younger, they're even smoother still. Okay, silver grey. Okay, don't be put off by stuff like this. This is just ivy growing up it. Right, and that cluster of buds on the end. Okay, so a young girl.
Does that ivy eventually kill the tree?
No, no, no. It's what it can do. I don't like it on it because it's a nightmare if you need to manage the forest. It's a nightmare to deal with all the eyes on it. But what it can do, the only time it can affect it, if it's right up onto the branches, yeah, and start shading out off the buds or the leaf of the host tree. That's when it fails to photosynthesize, yeah, and the pump starts to sort of like fail and then it dies. So that's the only way. But normally something like this, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't sort of like strangle it or anything like that. But this one here we do. Okay, nice little green leaf that's probably near up there all the time, right through the winter. Okay, and it's a climber, and you've got tons of it here. Absolutely tons of it. Any ideas? Right, this is honeysuckle. Yeah, you've probably got it in the garden. And this is great. This I'll show you a tree on the way around there that actually is deformed. Yeah, it's actually quite prized by stick makers and stuff. This thing called a honeysuckle twist. It actually deforms a tree into a twist. But the good thing about this is that's not a very good example for young people. The scout group. Yeah, it's this stuff here. Okay, this outer bark. Yeah, the tree or the plant gives it us just naturally anyway. And this is really good tinder. And by doing this, you're not damaging the plant at all. Yeah, some of the finer branches or the dead bits make good firewood as well. Yeah, so you can see, really snappy. Yeah, just makes really good tinder. I have a little rule. I don't know if you ever heard of it or use it, but it's called my firewood rule. Okay, it's shoulder height and above. Alright, that's I only pick firewood from there. Okay, unless I know that I felled it and stored it correctly and things like that, and it's dry for it. But this, especially with things like 5x friction, hand drill, bow drill, yeah, put that in a nest. Okay, and it's this is my new bow drill set. Okay, just lights really freely. Okay, clean burn. Alright, and you have got loads of it. You know, you could harvest the carrier bag in 20 minutes, no problem. Okay, so we've got loads of it here. So it's something we need to keep an eye on, yeah, because it can affect the tree, alright, and deform the tree in a way. But it's nice, especially when it comes into flower, you get the scent and everything. It's quite a nice plant. Everybody, should be a good hawthorn. Okay. This time of year now, this, yeah, it's nice to eat. Okay. Other names are bread and butter tree or bread and cheese tree. Has anybody heard the nursery rhyme, here we go gathering nuts in May? Yeah? Okay. How many nuts come out in May? When do you normally get nuts like hazelnuts and, sorry? Autumn. Okay. So why is the nursery rhyme say here we go gathering nuts in May, do you think?
Good.
No,
Good taste.
no. What when this is in flower in a few weeks? Yeah. What do you know what the flower looks like?
Yeah.
Okay. What colour is it?
Like a whitey pinky.
Is it a single flower? Is it in a clump?
It's multiple heads, isn't it? Yeah.
Multiple headed stem, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that stem is called a knot. Okay. And the nursery rhyme actually is, here we go gathering knots of May, because that's another name for it, the May tree. Okay. So here we go gathering knots of May. Alright, and they used to obviously make wine and whatever else with that. So you got another honeysuckle growing up that as well. As a firewood, it's sort of like right up there with ash and your oaks and
That's the same thing. It's sort of 3 years to
yeah,
dry.
not so long, not as long as that, but yeah, you've got it here, but not a lot of it. That it's actually worth. It's good to keep as an understory, and obviously when the berries come, yeah, that's good for a lot of songbirds and stuff. So it's not enough of it to sort of like to start manage the woodland, if you like. It's good. It's in an area like this, it won't grow much bigger than sort of like 15 feet or so. It can grow a lot taller out in the open. Right, obviously, predominantly for us, we manage this as hedgerows, yeah, stock-proof hedges and stuff. Yeah, it's an important tree. When they get older, at the minute this one's fairly young, and you can see the actual thorns of it. Okay, this one's not so bad actually. So there you go, fish hook. Alright, straight away. Alright, this has still got, yeah, it's not too far gone. Okay, make good fish hooks, long lines. Okay, flat fish and the like. Bake this up. Okay. It's funny when they're mature. Okay. You have a thing called a grazing line. I've only just recently learnt this actually. I knew it was there, but I never realised it, and it was actually on a holly tree. Okay. This big holly tree that I've got in our wood, lower down it was really spiky, as you would get a holly leaf. Okay. But as you got sort of like here and above, it doesn't become spiky. Yeah. Why is that?
Animals, grazing.
Correct. Okay, grazing animals. This thing here, this spiky bit, yeah, is a tree's defence system. Okay, to keep those browsing stock, cattle for example, away from that, because it's obviously, if you eat all of these, yeah, all over the tree, it'll just die. Okay, it can't breathe, it can't photosynthesize. So yeah, I mean that's just an inbuilt, and what you actually find is that tree with memory, yeah, if the grazing stops, yeah, eventually it'll just come down and down and down, and you won't get any spiky leaves at all. Yeah. And who says we're the only ones that think? Right, and you call it bifurcated, that, so it's got two stems, okay, coming off quite big. Alright, the right hand stem's near enough the same diameter as the base. Okay, so there's a few signs in that tells me that's probably one of the oldest trees that I've seen in here.
Yeah.
Okay, and a few other signs that tell me as well. Okay, oaks don't normally grow like that. Okay, it might be, alright, that a deer's come in, yeah, nip the top off, okay, browsing, but deer don't generally like oak because of the tannin in it. Okay. So I reckon many years ago somebody's done that. Okay, so do you know about coppicing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you cut really low to the ground to get rods. Yeah, do you know about pollarding?
Yeah.
Okay, pollarding is aerial coppicing. Okay, and it's what they call above stock height. Okay, so I think somebody has come in here when this was very, very young, taken the top off. Yeah, you get all these stems, great for firewood and building materials and things like that, and then all these gnarly bits at the bottom. Yeah, the cattle have been trying to eat all the buds, and yeah, so I reckon this was grazed, open grazing, at one time. It wouldn't surprise me looking at the ground. So, but this, you know, not too long ago, you know, 300-400 years ago maybe, Alright, this will be open grazing. But your woodlands changed a lot. You know, you got sycamores. Okay, well, sycamores, it's a non-indigenous, even though it's looked upon now as it's been here that long.
Is that the same as silver birch?
No, birch is indigenous. Yeah. The oaks are indigenous. Hawthorn is. Yeah, sycamore isn't. Right. We've only got round about 25 indigenous trees. Okay, Costa Rica, all right, has got 1,500. Yeah. You know, we've only got one, well, two in theory, evergreen trees or conifers. Got the Scots pine and the juniper. Okay, everything else has been brought in. You know, either brought in as seed or plants or whatever. All right.
So how do you reckon that tree is?
It's hard to say because it's a bit gnarly. It'd be a good sort of like 250, 300 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Is that what will happen to the tree behind it as well?
Yeah, no, that's sycamore, that one. Yeah, so that's it. Cardboard points using trees as an indicator. You've got this oak here with big scaffold limbs coming out the back. Okay, there is one scaffold limb of tree coming off there. Right, so look, the one directly to the left and behind it, all the scaffold limbs are on the side, nothing on the right. Okay, the one sort of like 10 o'clock of it with the daffodils at the bottom. Yeah, scaffold limbs at the back, nothing on the right. Okay, but if you look through here where it gets a bit more dense, yeah, there's limbs on the right, yeah, and nothing much on the left. Yeah, see that? Yeah. That one just directly through. So you've got this steel post in front, 10 o'clock of that one. Yeah, you're getting all these limbs coming out to the right, nothing on the left. Okay, so you have to be really wary. Right? Yeah, so generally put here for cover for shooting. Okay, pheasant shooting predominantly. And then it's just gone berserk. You know, when they put it in, they did manage it. Alright, but now it's sort of like the stakes broke up or whatever and it's just gone bananas. This is a species called common ponticum, and it's a predominant. It's 2,500 species. If you're into rhododendron, Muncaster Castle up in the lakes, yeah, really good, good varieties up there. What about burning it? Is there a
smoky
problem? Yeah, I've heard things. I mean, I burn it. I'll be honest with you, but I steer away because I don't know where I've got this thing it's poisonous from, or somebody must have told me or something. You know? But I burn it on my fire at home. You know, I steer away from like burning it in shelters and sort of like open fires. There's better woods around. Yeah, other than that area. Well, actually, I disturbed it a bit more yesterday, but I came and found this yesterday. I came up through here, saw that and carried on, and that's where I saw the roebuck further on down. It's quite an old, this is where roe deer sleep. Okay? So we're always under the protection, a little bit too close to the path for me. It's probably done it a bit and then moved on maybe. But for some reason they're scratching and down to the damp earth. Don't know why. And you'll find it if you have a snoop through there, you'll find these everywhere. Yeah, and a lot of the time, if it's quite fresh, you'll find the hair. All right, and you can tell it's roe deer hair because if it's actually hollow. So if you grab a piece of hair and it'll just snap. Yeah, it's got no tension to it at all. And sometimes if it's a doe, yeah, it'll probably a little bit of a shake like that with the doe there and the mum here. Okay. Don't ask me why they scrape down. You know, sometimes fresh one will look like that. You know, right down to bare earth. And then if there's any grass about or anything like that, she'll just wake up and have a bit of a nibble. Yeah.
And they normally stay in the same place? Or
no, they're transient. They
anywhere?
move all over. Yeah, fresh bed every night.
Right.
Generally. They might come and visit the same place again, but in a period of time. But to say sort of like roe deer, So like on a magnified. They love grass. They love fresh grass. Yeah, and they haven't got a top set of teeth. Although it's got this sort of like this bony palate and just a bottom set of teeth. So it'll grab something like this, yeah, and pull it. Yeah, and what you find is sort of like a raggedy edge. Yeah, like this. Where if it's something like a rabbit, it's clean and sheared. Yeah, so you can tell that roe deer's been knocking around. Okay. So something like that'll be a rabbit.
Yeah.
It's like really, really flat and sort of been cut with some scissors. Roe deer's all raggedy edge. Yeah, but these you'll not find them if you're walking on the tracks. You have to
just in.
get in here. And the further in, the more you'll see, no doubt. Yeah, with very, very fine hairs in it. That's brilliant eating. Okay, tastes a little bit like apple peel. Whack it in a salad and things like that. It's really nice. But as it progresses, it goes too leathery and waxy and horrible. When it produces its nut, yeah, or its mast, okay. It's you saw it over there. It's a 4-part husk with a 3-sided nut inside. The nut's only sort of like yay big, but it's really good. It's worth collecting them if you can get there before the grey squirrels. There's a firewood, brilliant. You know, I prize it over a lot of stuff really.
So that burn quite smoke free.
Yeah, very hot. Yeah. You won't get a big flame off it, but it burns great for sort of like roasting something over the fire or doing a hanging oven or something like that. Yeah, it's really good for that. So I'd have a tendency of just sort of like falling apart or falling over. And you have a virus called beech summer branch fall, where you have a lovely day like today, sort of like June, July, and bang, big limb will come off. No reason at all. It's just a virus, so be very aware if you're on sort of like scout estates, and it's very tempting, you'll see why over there in a bit, to camp under these things, because there's not much that grows underneath beech trees. Yeah, very, very little. Okay. So then, as a camp, yeah, if you were here with your group of young people, okay, and you came across this, you went, wow, clear sight, nothing to do, got a chopping block at the back there, yeah, perfect. Any problem with it?
Yeah, it's under a massive beech.
Correct. Okay, right on the massive beech. Okay, going back to this beech from the branch fall. As I mentioned over there, nothing grows underneath it, not even rhododendron. Okay. So I've seen stuff, see this big limb coming out over us where we are here, where we're stood, right underneath it. Yeah. On days like today, boom, limb will just come out. Right, no reason at all. So it's really, really tempting to camp under here because it's easy.
Does that have to be in leaf when it falls? Or?
No, yeah. Predominantly it's in leaf because it's sort of like in the sun. What about that as firewood?
Yeah, look small.
Sorry? Look small. It's a rough shoulder, right though. What do you think?
Yeah. That isn't it? Surely dry, yeah.
Well, what about, would you have that over there?
The one with mushrooms and rotten, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Firewood, you know, wood you burn, yeah, you're on about dry wood and dry firewood. We only need it dry, one, to get it smoked down, and two, to get the maximum amount of energy or calorific value from the wood. Okay. But in some instances, that right-hand piece there with all the fungus on it, yeah, that'd be ideal. Yeah, smoking your salmon tomorrow. Yeah, wet, funky, horrible wood. Yeah, you need to generate smoke. Okay, ideal. Anyone know what tree this is?
Yeah. Question, isn't it?
Wouldn't know that. Who's done the fire bit this morning? Yeah? Yeah, you do it like fire with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What resource this is? Okay, and you've got tons of it. Absolutely tons of it. Yeah, something like that you could probably make a, if you didn't have beetle poles in it, like a nice sort of like bowl or a little match cap or something like that, matchbox or something like that, and it's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I've got this piece off just a bit further down. As you can see, has anybody seen this lighting fire with this before? Yeah. Yeah? These lines on the birch, they're called medullary rays or parenchyma rays, and it's what the tree breathes from. And if you scratch that like this, and even with a fire steel, you can light a fire. Should I show you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's good to just plonk it on the ground, and if you hold a knife like this and using the belly of the knife, this curvy bit before the tip, yeah, and just scrape, sharper knife the better. So what you're doing, you just, when you get to this brown area here, that's where all the oils are kept. Right, get it like a golf ball size. As always, get some height in your fire, right, to get plenty of oxygen in there. And then with a fire steel, yeah, just using the tip and using that method. Okay, just scrape. Okay, I'm not trying to light it at the minute, I'm just scraping the fire steel into the bottom. Right, and then a quick flick, you've got fire. So, and then you can, you could sort of like cut and peel various bits off, and it burns really freely. So you can see that now, that'll start to twist. It burns. Hear that crackling? It's all the oils inside.
See the black stuff come off.
Yeah, you can see the oils coming off it, yeah. You can see that, even that, on a day like today, you've got some matchstick stuff. Wow, smells of Sweden. Yeah, it smells really good. You can smell it. It's just huh? Yeah, it's got a smell of its own, and that's perfect. Have you ever seen feather sticks? Yeah, where you're making those swirls of wood. Just does it naturally. Yeah, save yourself a ton of work. Okay, and just use that. Alright, that really tight swirl. Yeah, it burns really well. And even if this is wet, rain wet, you can just rub it on the inside of clothing. Just rub that wetness, that rainwater off, and it'll still do that. Dead easy. And the only reason I've shown this because there's a tree further back there. Further back. Yeah. What we call sucker growth. Okay, and it's a natural thing. The other tree that comes to mind that does this is lime. Okay, and it just does it. It's natural. This is the way it does it. Okay, on some tree species, if this was, say, I was getting this growth, let's say out of an oak, a sycamore, or an ash, or a beech, okay, and it wasn't grazed, so the area is like it is now with no grazing animals, there'd be alarm bells ringing because that's not right. Okay, if it's doing this, yeah, and it's not its natural form, it's telling you I'm on my way out. This is my last ditch to put some growth out, get some leaves to see if I can make myself better. Okay, it generally doesn't work. But because of the older, this is the way it does it. Okay, with its sucker growth. If you go down, does anybody go into Manchester a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get things like Chester Road and all around that sort of area. Manchester, there's street trees there are limes. Okay, and it's probably the worst street tree you can ever have because it does this. And this is our height, pavement height, and it costs the council a fortune to come and put it all off every year. Because it'll grow that much a year. But what you can see on here, yeah, is you'll see little bits of bark coming off. You'll see this sort of like a biscuity brown. That's a woodpecker feeding.
It's all right, this side
Yeah,
here. It's
yeah.
all dying.
Sorry?
It's all dying here.
Yeah, it's had yeah, I would imagine looking at that. What's going on here, maybe I might be wrong. Okay, thanks for saying that. Got that?
No.
Sorry? Correct. Okay. Comfrey, edible. Foxglove, poisonous. Okay. Big misnomer. Right. In its early stages, obviously grows sort of like the eye with a pinky flower on. Foxglove poisoning. Okay, from the pollen. Quite nasty stuff, really. Right, so be wary of that, especially with young people. Right, don't go gathering that and start ramming it into fish and stuff like that. Just steer away from it. This?
Red Champion.
You said that? Yeah. Yeah. Red Campion, you'll see that all over the site. Edible, everything. Okay. Well, you can actually go quite high. Okay. These?
Nettles.
Well, somebody said that. Yeah, common nettle, nettle tops, nettle soup and things like that. Okay. Quite important, especially here. Okay. Sort of like trackside where there's moving vehicles and things like that, you know, where people are walking. Alright. If you're going to gather or whatever, just make sure you wash it first. Okay, and then sort of like cover it. Burns green in front of the quay, which it does. Right. But even when that's green, it's snappy. Yeah, there's hardly any flexibility even in the green wood. Right, you get a little brown thing here. Look at the bottom of it. Does that remind you of anything?
Elephant shoulder.
Not far off.
Yeah.
What about its growth at the bottom there? What do you think? So that's growing like alder, isn't it? You know, with all this growth coming out the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost a sycamore, isn't it?
Okay.
Some sort of maple.
It is.
No?
Yeah,
Real maple.
it's a sycamore.
It's a sycamore.
Yeah. Yeah. But is that right?
That's not normally how it
Not
grows,
normal.
though, is it?
No.
Sycamore, yeah. Is
Why
that
do you
because
think
it's
that
white
is?
water?
Yeah.
White water. No. It's because it's in this light.
Growing like it, isn't it? Maybe these are a bit too small for a teasel head.
Sticky buds, yeah.
Sticky buds, yeah. The chap who designed Velcro, he got it for me. This is called burdock, as in dandelion and burdock. Okay. And this is the seed stem or the main stem from last year. Okay. It's a biennial, so it works over a 2-year period. All right. So for the first year's growth, it's sort of like August, that's when you can harvest it, when this tube is in the ground, full of fat and full of starch. Okay, then it goes dormant over that winter, and then all that stored energy, it goes, yeah, and produces this and goes to seed. Okay, so it's a really good plant to have around, and whenever I see it, I sort of like get a bunch of seeds and just scatter them around a bit. Yeah. So if you're lucky, if there's any seeds in there, yeah, we can scatter them and get more burdock. Okay. And the whole thing's edible, and the leaves are good. They grow nice and big, so they're good for wrapping fish in and things like that. What about this?
Yeah.
Some behind there as well.
Almost reminds me of a herb of some sort now.
Yeah, good indicator if you just grab a leaf and just crush it and give it a smell. It smells of predominantly something that you'll probably used to be cooking with at home.
Garlic.
Is it garlic? Okay. It's not wild garlic, no, it's garlic mustard. A member of the mustard family. Alright. It's not as sort of like powerful as wild garlic. You know, it's my preferred thing. Wild garlic. Don't agree in the stomach, so a little bit more of a nicer rounded taste to it. Nice with fish inside. A fish if you're steaming it or something like that, steaming in a burdock leaf. So here you got pretty much everything. If you can catch a fish, Yeah, you've got something to cook it in, the burdock, and something to season it with on the garlic mustard. So nice to see. Of course, yeah, I like that with a little white flour.
And do you get all year round, or just a spring for bud?
No, I can eat it all year round. Yeah, again, wash it sort of like up. If a plant's going tall, always sort of like maybe not the bud tip, right the very tip, the apical stem, but the 2 or 3 sort of like sets of leaves below it. That's all right. But yeah, again, wash it as well and dry it out.
Wow, that was a really interesting walk. I learnt so much there you wouldn't actually believe, and I'm happy now that I've got it on film as well, so if I forgot anything or missed anything I can just go back to it. Oh, I'm a bit sunburnt I think there. But anyway, yeah, really good day. I really enjoyed that. It's one thing looking through reference books or looking on Wikipedia, but when you're actually going out there looking at stuff and having an instructor as well, it really helps. So that was really good for me. Big thanks to Mike from Tamarak Outdoors. I really suggest you go on his website. I'm going to put a shameless plug in the comments box down below, in the description box. Go and check out his website. But anyway guys, that's it from me, and I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, peace and be wild. See you guys.